of his Democratic Party.
Well, interestingly, he was one of the first and only Democrats that the president was in touch with when he became president. I remember he said, "Oh, he kind of seems like a good guy," and we've had a conversation. He's also someone who I think Leader Schumer is concerned every time there's an important vote of where's Fetterman going to go. He doesn't.
And like maybe clean things about Susan Collins or Lisa.
That's exactly right.
And there's Katie Britt of
Florida.
Actually, Ruby, I'm so sorry. My eyes are getting older. And there's Susan Collins, of course. And that is Michael Bennet. She's with
No, I
him.
think it's
Ohio?
John
Houston.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll get there eventually.
But we had talked about that race a little bit earlier with one of the callers, and whether or not he's running against Sherrod Brown who got beat by Bernie Moreno. Yeah, it's very complicated.
Cassidy.
He's an interesting one who will want to hear what the president's plan on health care is. There was
The
rumbling.
president hasn't endorsed his primary opponent.
That's right.
has he?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Julie let go. And
There's Lisa Murkowski.
that's another one. The president, for the War Powers vote at the beginning to advance that, said that she should never be in office again. She's one of the
Trying to see if everything's going
who
well.
voted to advance that measure.
She's had an independent streak throughout. In fact, she won as an independent because of her popularity in the state of Alaska.
I do see some white in the Democrat audience of women wanting to wear white
What is
outfits.
the significance of the wearing the white
The
for
women's
Democrat-
suffrage
women's
movement.
suffrage?
And I think they have done that for several years now, it seems. That it's kind of become a State of the Union tradition for women of Congress to want to wear white.
To put this into context, the first Senate televised.
Alright, I had to turn some of my fans off and stuff.
Okay. Women had only won the right to vote 27 years earlier,
Right.
in 1920. That was the first national election that women could vote in, and they voted overwhelmingly for the Republican Warren Harding because he had championed the suffrage movement. And Woodrow Wilson had
Republicans want to
There was
own
this really
women's
iconic
rights
moment
now
of women
again.
wearing white in Trump's
That's all
first
that
term.
was.
It was after Democrats took back the House and Speaker Pelosi became Speaker all over again. And this was after the 2018 midterms. And a record number of women had won election. President Trump tried to do a nice thing of like recognizing that during his speech. He noted all the women in the audience and the record, and all these women in white stood up and they started chanting USA, USA, USA. And it was a really big moment, but it was also
I'm also checking to see if my comments work.
I don't know if Trump was inspiring, but it sort of set off there in the moment.
Well, we've learned that President and Mr. Trump have arrived at the Capitol, and that entrance that they will be going in is not far at all
Right.
from the House chamber. But there will be some pomp and circumstance to get him into the House chamber. I think first we'll see Mrs. Trump enter into the visitors gallery. There'll be applause, and she'll enter into her assigned seat with her guests.
Go with
and see
myself
that.
for a
Which of
second.
the Trump
And
children,
there's
I
Amy
think.
Klobuchar running for governor of Minnesota, and she's ahead in the polls. She's got about 50% average right
Think-
now in the polls for governor.
Remember what I need to.
Isn't running.
Chatting with a Republican, John Curtis from Utah.
And is that
Start off.
Tom Emmer behind her, one of the Republican House leaders? He's from Minnesota as well, but he's one of the Republican House leaders. I'm sure delegations within a state, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, are more friendly
It's this.
than we see sometimes in the battle. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, sometimes delegations will do delegation lunches or events, and you build some camaraderie around an issue that your state
Starting
cares
the
about. You
program?
need to get bipartisan support for something. So there tends to be a little
It's
bit
taking
more
its time a little bit.
friendliness between R's and D's if you're fighting for the same issues in your state.
And
Yep.
we were speaking about women in office last year, and now this year is
Oh, that's right. I didn't.
a long time in a while that there wasn't a woman up at the podium. We had Vice President Harris up during the Biden years, Speaker Pelosi during Trump,
And some years, both of them.
and
Two
both
women.
women. So
Yeah.
this is the second year in a long time that we haven't seen that. And I think it was when former Speaker Pelosi was first elected.
Can't do it that way.
It was former President George
Okay.
W. Bush who gave her a huge recognition during his State of the Union to say this is the first female Speaker of the House. We'll see in this, as you mentioned, the president in his first term mentioned how many women were elected that election year. We'll see if there is kind of a bipartisan display of sorts this year, something along those lines.
One thing I just noticed, Senator Mark Kelly is there, and he's this interesting character because he's one of these 6 Democrats that put out the video telling members of the military to not follow illegal orders, and that set off attempts to prosecute them and to bring some military charges, and he's going to be face to face with President Trump tonight in this chamber.
And just a minute ago, you saw 2 retirees, Steny Hoyer of Maryland, former majority leader, talking to Gerald Nadler,
Whoa, it's so
former chair of
small.
the Judiciary Committee from New York, both retiring. George Conway, in fact, there's Hakeem Jeffries, the head of the Democrats, potential speaker if the
Joint session will come to order.
Oh, here we go.
The chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort the President of the United States into the chamber. The gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise. The gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer. The gentlewoman from Michigan, Mrs. McClain. The gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson. The gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Reschenthal. The gentleman from Utah, Mr. Moore. The gentlewoman from Indiana, Mrs. Houchin. The gentleman from Oklahoma, Mr. Hearn. The gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries. The gentleman from California, Mr. Aguilar. The gentleman from California, Mr. Liu. The gentlewoman
I guess
from
I'll just
Washington,
read chat
Mrs.
from my
Helmy.
phone.
Michigan, Mrs. Dingle. The President of the Senate, at the direction of that body, appoints the following senators as members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House chamber. The Senator from South Dakota, Mr. Thune. The Senator from Wyoming, Mr. Barrasso. The Senator from Arkansas, Mr. Cotton. The Senator from West Virginia, Mrs. Capito. The Senator from Oklahoma, Mr. Langford. The Senator from South Carolina, Mr. Scott. Mr. Schumer. The Senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. And the Senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar. The members of the escort committee will exit the chamber through the lobby doors.
Mr. Speaker, the Acting Dean of the Diplomatic Corps.
And we are live. The speech and the president should be entering in about 8-10 minutes or so. The dean of the diplomatic corps, by the way, is Percy Kayota.
he is the
That's a
ambassador
6
to
p.m.
And
Trump's
he has
always
been
kind of
in
late,
office
though.
Since 1997.
Right here.
The dean is the longest serving ambassador in Washington. It's an honorary title. But then many ambassadors will attend this. In just a minute, you'll hear the Supreme Court announce. They are next up. So this should be interesting to see which of the 9 come in. Who do you think will be there?
I definitely think Kavanaugh will be there. Justice Kavanaugh, President Trump really sung his praises last week for his dissent in this tariff ruling. He said Justice Kavanaugh's stock is rising. So if I'm putting my money on anyone, it would be Justice Kavanaugh being among the justices there.
And Chief Justice Roberts almost has to.
Yeah, I think I was trying to think if he has to or if it's more of a given that he has to. I think we will actually see all three of the justices that the president got in his last term, even though Neil Gorsuch and maybe Coney Barrett are not in the president's good graces right now. I think they'll still want to sit there and listen to what he has to say. And I think, to your point, if this is Justice Alito's last State of the Union, I think he'd want to be there as well, although, like we talked about, he sometimes skips these.
And there was the dip.
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
Very happy with him on that tariff ruling that he sided with. Very happy with him on that tariff ruling that he sided with him. But Coney Barrett on the other side, the president is not so happy with. Yet she wanted to be there. Of course, he appointed her in his first term. So I think she's curious what he has. She's one of the newer members. Curious what the president has to say. But yeah, only 4 of them in there tonight.
Marissa Schultz, our colleague, Greta Bronner, noted that John Fetterman, D of Pennsylvania, is wearing a suit tonight.
Oh, that is notable.
Well, I think you have to wear a suit and tie,
Yeah.
Right.
or at least, I mean, he had a full suit on, but you have to wear a tie in either chamber still for the men.
Yeah, loyal C-SPAN viewers will know he's known for his casual dress, hoodies, shorts,
And at committee
Carhartts.
meetings, too, right?
Jim Shorts, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we've had the diplomatic corps, we've had the Supreme Court. I'm guessing that the cabinet will be next before the president. It is now 8:56 here on the East Coast, 8:57. The speech is due to start at 9. We're kind of on time here, but we do have some more to come in. But I would say within 5 minutes of 9 o'clock, somebody will come